it's Matt. I'm a school-based occupational therapist, and I'm sharing with you some of the strategies that I use that relate to some of the top concerns that teachers raise to me in school when they're having issues with their students and they don't know what to do. So I'd like to share another topic with you now. And that topic is this. I am asked often, what do I do if my student switches hands during a skilled task? So they're coloring, they're cutting, they're writing, and they're switching hands. They're using the tool in both hands. So what do you do about that? Well, first of all, this is kind of a tricky thing, and often it just really involves observing your student to try to get a sense of which hand they're more skilled with in using the tool, and what hand that they most often will reach for a tool with. So at first, if I'm assessing a student and I'm observing, if I'm going to give them a pencil or a crayon or some scissors, I would offer that tool as close to the midline of the body as I can. So I would place the tool at the child's midline, and then I would try to see which hand the child reaches for the tool with. Most often that's their dominant hand. You want to really make sure it's right at the midline, because if I put it on one side or the other, the child may just reach on that side to grasp the tool. So that's just a quick and easy way to look for hand dominance. But what if they're doing the task and they keep switching? So one thing is you want to look for the grasp of the tool. So oftentimes, if a child is cutting and they're using scissors, they'll have a more mature grasp on one or the other hand, and you can kind of tell a little bit, what looks a little more mature. That might give you a hint as to what the dominant hand is. Otherwise, once you start to observe and you've offered tools multiple times and you get a sense for this child is probably a right-handed student, then you want to encourage the use of that right hand as much as you can. So if you see them switching, you want to make sure that you cue the child to switch back to their dominant hand, and then maybe do some simple things to help the child identify that hand. So perhaps if a child is a right-handed student, you might stick a bracelet or something else on the right hand or on the right wrist to identify that that's the hand that I write with, that's the hand that I cut with. I'll often do things like dry erase boards and writing activities with my students. If I know that my student is left-handed, I may give them the marker and have them hold it in their left hand, and maybe I'll stick a sock over the right hand, the non-dominant hand, to use as an eraser on the dry erase board. It kind of discourages the switching of the tool from one hand to the other. The other thing you can do is just to offer many, many activities that involve using two hands together in a coordinated way, and you can often tell which is the more skilled hand that way. So you can do all kinds of things like placing stickers, stringing beads, doing lacing activities, opening and closing bottles or jars, using wind-up toys, scooping and pouring sand or liquid, cutting and coloring and drawing activities. And those are all two-handed tasks that require the use of two hands in a coordinated way. The other thing you can do is to color on very small pieces of paper, because it really takes a lot of coordination and a lot of strength to be able to hold down the tiny little piece of paper while you're coloring. And you'll often find that the student will revert to their more dominant hand as their coloring hand while they're accomplishing that task, because it's a pretty difficult thing to do. So those are some simple recommendations for students who may switch hands and what to do if they do.